Okay, I can barely see the suns in my eyes while I sit in the car rider line. This is part 2 of how my 9-month-old son was almost murdered by his daycare teacher in 2005. Okay, so I'm at the hospital. They rushed him off to do some tests. And while I'm sitting there freaking the fuck out by myself, they tell me that he was involved in a drowning. The teacher tried to drown him in the sink in the daycare room. And that this had all happened the day before. And no one fucking told me. So one of my best friend's mothers at the time was a director at the daycare, which is also why I went there, but she was on vacation during this time. So obviously she would have told me, and no one just told me. No one told me. So the interim director ended up finding out about all of this, sent the teacher home that day on leave or whatever, and never fucking reported it until the next day. But they'd still let me drop my baby off before they reported it. So apparently what happened was he was crying really bad. He had cut 4 teeth that week too. That's another side point. He had cut his 4 teeth, top and bottom, 2 top, 2 bottom. And he was crying really hard. Obviously he was probably in pain from cutting his teeth that day. And she picked him up, screamed at him, shook him, told him shut the fuck up, and then went over to the sink, filled it up with water, and dunked him in it. There was 4 witnesses that saw this happen because it was repetitive. It was over and over, and her screaming and cussing at a baby caused the attention of some of the other teachers that were in the hallways. One of the teacher had like one of those horse doors, like half doors, and shared a wall with her and could hear her through the thing. So she leaned over and saw her dunking him under the water, holding him under there and bringing him back up. Simultaneously, this was a window room where if you walk down the hallway, you could look in and see the kids in the window. Simultaneously, 2 girls that were going out for their smoke break or their break or lunch or whatever was walking past, heard her scream, and saw her doing the same thing. All 3 women ran in, snatched my baby out of her arms, pushed her off to the side, and freaked the fuck out. They all went straight into the office, told the interim director at the time what had happened, and was just terrified. Again, I didn't get to hear about it until the next. So what they found was that he had something swollen that filters the spinal fluid from coming in and out of the brain canal, which is normally a direct result of shaken baby syndrome. But because it didn't fluctuate in size, they didn't deem that as a direct result of what she had done to him. So thank God he was alive and he was okay. But they did go and arrest her for attempted murder and like 6 other charges. Whole nother story, but I ended up getting an EPO against me from her because I ended up at her house. And 9 months later, we went to trial. Despite the fact that there was 4 witnesses, 3 eyewitnesses, and 1 hearing witness, she was found not guilty on all counts. And I had to be escorted out of the courtroom because I was the one that had an EPO against me. Please make it make sense.